Emperor Constantine the Great embraced Christianity in 312 AD, and soon after, his mother Helena made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, where tradition claims she found many Christian sites, including the place of the crucifixion and burial of Jesus. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre was built on the site she located.
Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing in the heart of Jerusalem. The air is thick with history. Every stone, every archway, every whisper of wind seems to carry the weight of centuries. You look ahead, and there it is, Golgotha, the place of the skull. This is the hill where, according to the Gospels, the most famous execution in human history took place, the crucifixion of Jesus. For thousands of years, people from every corner of the world have come here searching for answers. Some came in faith, convinced that the very soil beneath their feet once drank the blood of Christ. Others came with doubt, believing that the story was just myth, a legend told by desperate followers centuries ago. But now, something extraordinary has been uncovered. A discovery so real, so rooted in stone and earth, that it has sent waves of shock across the world of archaeology. And for atheists, those who firmly believe there is no God, this find is deeply unsettling. Why? Because what was just unearthed in this sacred mountain does not fit neatly into the narrative that the Bible is only a book of myths. Before we reveal exactly what was found, let me remind you to subscribe to our channel. Now, let's step back in time and uncover the story of Golgotha, the hill that still refuses to stay silent. Golgotha, also called Calvary, is described in all four Gospels as the place where Jesus was crucified. The name means place of the skull. Scholars have long debated why it was called this. Some believe the hill itself looked like a skull. Others say it was a place of death, where criminals were executed and bones were scattered. What we do know is that it stood just outside the city walls of Jerusalem in the 1st century. The Roman governor Pontius Pilate ordered executions here because it was visible to all who entered or left the city. Crucifixions were not only punishments, they were warnings. Over the centuries, this hill became layered with history. Roman temples were built over it. Byzantine Christians built churches on it. Crusaders expanded and rebuilt it. The Ottomans controlled it. And eventually, it became the location of one of the holiest sites in Christianity, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. But beneath the layers of stone, mortar, and history lay secrets that had been buried for almost 2,000 years. In recent years, restoration work was ordered at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Israeli government approved archaeological teams to investigate beneath the ancient structure. The goal was not to prove faith or disprove it, but to stabilize the foundation and study the layers of history beneath one of the most visited sites on Earth. What they uncovered shocked even the most seasoned archaeologists, because what they found matched details written in the Bible almost word for word. As soil samples were taken from deep beneath the church floor, tiny remains began to tell a story. Archaeologists discovered traces of olive trees and grapevines. Yes, plants, but not just any plants. These are the very plants mentioned in Scripture again and again. John chapter 19 verse 41 says, "Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had yet been laid." For years, skeptics dismissed this verse as symbolic, poetic, or invented. But now, evidence of an actual cultivated garden right beneath the church that stands on Golgotha has been revealed.
That this Italian team from Rome will do this restoration work, and the purpose was, to a great degree, maintenance. But they also used the opportunity to do research, to dig all the way down to bedrock. They tried to hide, from the public when they were working. They put veils, but I couldn't resist the temptations, and I've been following, always peeking and checking how low they were going. And I kept noticing at some places that a lot of good brown soil that I use here at my home for gardening was coming out of the pockets beneath the floor. And I said to myself, and I shared it with friends and tourists, and I even wrote a post, hey, this is good gardening soil. It matches what the Gospel of John is telling us.
The soil bore the fingerprints of history. It contained remnants of a vineyard and of olive trees, exactly as John's Gospel described. But that was not all. Archaeologists also discovered that this site was once a limestone quarry in the centuries before Christ. Later, it was transformed into a burial ground. Several rock-cut tombs dating back to the time of Jesus were found around this area. One of them had long been believed to be the tomb of Christ. Now the evidence of a garden and tombs together aligns perfectly with the biblical narrative. And then came the most fascinating detail. Beneath the shrine, known as the edicule, the small structure that covers what many believe is the tomb of Jesus, a circular marble base was found. This matches ancient descriptions of Constantine's first church, built in the 4th century to preserve the location of Christ's burial. Everything lined up: a quarry, a garden, tombs, and early Christian architecture. The story was not myth. It was history. Atheists have long argued that the Bible is not history, but myth. That stories of gardens, tombs, and crucifixions outside Jerusalem were inventions of early Christians. But the ground beneath Golgotha is telling a different story. The olive and grape remains are not legends. They are physical, testable, scientific evidence. The rock-cut tombs are not metaphors. They are real, and they are carved into the limestone of the mountain. The marble base is not imagination. It is still there, beneath layers of history. And so, atheists are faced with a dilemma. If the Bible described a garden at Golgotha, and science now shows there really was a garden there, what else might the Bible be telling the truth about? This does not mean science has proven every miracle. It does not prove the resurrection, but it forces skeptics to admit that parts of the gospel once dismissed as religious poetry were actually grounded in reality. Time and again, archaeology in Israel has shown that the Bible reflects real history. Jericho's walls, Hezekiah's tunnel, the Pool of Siloam, the Tel Dan inscription naming the House of David. Each of these discoveries, once mocked by skeptics, later confirmed by archaeology. And now Golgotha joins the list. Psalm 85 verse 11 says, "Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven." And here we see it again. The earth itself is testifying to the truth of the Scriptures. 2,000 years ago, men thought they could silence Jesus forever by nailing him to a cross on a hill called Golgotha. Yet here we are, 2 millennia later, and the very stones of that hill are still speaking. The soil still testifies. The tombs still stand. The garden is not forgotten. What Israeli archaeologists uncovered is more than history. It is a reminder that truth cannot stay buried. For some, that truth is terrifying. For others, it is the most hopeful news in the world. And so the question is no longer whether the Bible has history in it. The question is, what will you do with that history? Thank you for watching. If you found this as fascinating as we did, make sure to like this video, share it with friends, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next discovery that bridges faith and history.